Okay, your Rockwell ASAs are installed, adjusted, and providing good service on the highway. But remember, automatic does not mean maintenance-free. So next, we'll cover minor procedures for inspecting the boot and lubricating. To keep Rockwell ASAs in top condition, follow an inspection schedule based on the strictest of 3 chassis lubrication schedules. The one used by your company, the one recommended by the chassis manufacturer, or at least 4 times during the life of the brake linings. For details on inspection and lubrication procedures, refer to Rockwell Maintenance Manual 4B. The basics for minor inspection are: check for proper stroke, inspect the boot for cuts or damage, and lube the adjuster. For preventive maintenance, begin by again checking the free stroke or applied stroke of the slack adjuster as shown previously. If the stroke is correct, the slack adjuster is functioning properly. Now let me note that it is normal to see variations from brake to brake during the applied stroke. It can be plus or minus 1/8 inch. Now let's look at some other minor maintenance points. Check the boot for cuts or damage. If the boot is okay, go on to lubricate the slack adjuster. If torn, the boot can be replaced. Using an approved Rockwell grease listed in Maintenance Manual 4B, lube at the Zerk fitting until new grease flows from the pressure relief valve in the pawl cap screw. Newer slack adjusters with lubrication holes in the camshaft gear should be lubed until grease can be seen coming from the spline area as well. To sum up minor inspections, simply check the boot, lube the adjuster, and check the free stroke. That's all there is to it. Now let's look at major inspection and adjustment. When you reline the brakes, in addition to the minor checks that you just made, be sure to remove and inspect the pawl and condition of the grease inside the slack. I'd like to make one other point. It's important to note that for automatic slacks to function properly, the same lining material should be used on both brakes of the axle. To avoid damage to the pawl teeth, remove the pawl before you turn the manual adjusting nut, and don't reinstall the pawl until after brake adjustment. Check for dry or contaminated lube. If the lube is okay, then reline and adjust the brakes. Reinstall the pawl and lubricate as you did in the minor inspection. Okay, let's troubleshoot a couple of items. What if you have a slack adjuster with a stroke that's too long? Since correct angle is so important, check the ASA with the proper template and reset the installation angle if required. If the stroke is long, it may be because the spring brake air chamber is not fully releasing. If so, check the spring brake assembly following the procedures and safety precautions outlined by the chamber manufacturer. Remember to check the tie wrap for the correct piston color as we discussed earlier. The pawl assembly could be damaged, so remove the pawl and check for wear or grease contamination. If a quick connect collar is used, check for excessive wear between the clevis and the collar using a gap gauge. If the gap is more than 60,000ths of an inch, replace the clevis and the collar assembly with a threaded clevis. Check the jam nut on the push rod. If the quick connect collar is loose, it could shift the slack adjuster angle out of spec, causing a problem of long stroke. Also, with the pawl removed and clevis disconnected, check for free and easy rotation of the slack in both directions. Correct the angle by readjusting the position of the clevis on the push rod until the small pin is completely visible. Retighten the jam nut. For 1/2 inch rods, torque between 20 and 30 foot-pounds. For 5/8 inch rods, torque between 25 and 50 foot-pounds. Adjust the slack adjuster manually to the proper stroke. Reinstall the pawl assembly and torque between 15 and 20 foot-pounds. Here's a slack adjuster with a torn boot, which means that the interior of the adjuster may have been contaminated. Remove the pawl and check for contaminated grease. If contaminated, you should clean the internal parts and replace the seals. To do this, remove the ASA and carry it to a bench for disassembly, cleaning, and reassembly. These procedures are in your Rockwell Maintenance Manual 4B. In this videotape, we've covered the operation of Rockwell's automatic slack and its new features. We've discussed selection of the proper slack adjuster. We've shown proper ASA installation. We've described minor and major inspection, maintenance procedures, and some troubleshooting tips. But remember the vital part that you play. While adjustment of Rockwell ASAs is automatic, inspection and maintenance are not. With proper installation, inspection, and maintenance, Rockwell ASAs will continue to provide value, performance, and reliability for many years to come.